Are you and do you consider yourself a workaholic? First things first is, do you actually know what a workaholic is? Because I consider myself a workaholic, and a lot of people consider themselves workaholics because they put a lot of effort in what they do. They're really passionate about it. For example, I have several jobs. One, I own my own business in invitations. I also DJ and dance and do other things. But with my invitation business, I'm very passionate about it. I love doing it, and it's something that I spend a lot of time doing. But I'll be working, I'll get an order in for invitations, I'll send them out, do whatever I have to do, and then once I'm done doing that, like the minute I'm done working, I don't sit down, I don't watch TV or anything like that. I will literally sit there and come up with other designs for invitations to give people a wider range of choices that they have. If not, they could just stick with the custom designs and things like that that they want me to make for them specifically. But I'm so passionate and I'm so like driven and work crazy that I consider myself a workaholic. Like, I will work God knows how long. I will spend so many hours working, but I can't call myself a workaholic just because I'm passionate about something, just because I put a lot of effort into it, I put a lot of time in it, doesn't mean that I'm a workaholic. A workaholic is usually someone that works so much that they spend their whole entire life doing it, not even their life, like they will spend more than like 50 hours a week, 40, 50 hours a week doing working all day, 24/7, things like that. Workaholics usually do things like that, which isn't really a bad thing because sometimes I end up doing that, not all the time. But you really aren't a workaholic until you actually are taking your work with you to bed, or you have it out in front of you while you're eating, or you put your job or things that you need to get done involving your job before other people, relationships, family, and personal hygiene and things like that. It's good to be really focused on your job because sometimes, like, say, if you are working so hard, you're too busy to go outside and mow the lawn because you really want to get something done. That's fine as long as you get it done eventually. It's not like you're neglecting something for so long that you're never going to do it. You're just so overwhelmed because every once in a while someone that is working will have a huge backup of papers just randomly. Like, you'll be doing everything same way you always do, but all of a sudden someone will slap something on your desk, stack of papers about like this big, maybe even bigger, saying, oh, you need to do this and you need to do that, and you'll be so overwhelmed that you'll spend so much time doing it that you'll be neglecting other things, which is fine every once in a while as long as you eventually get to those things. The only time when you shouldn't neglect something if you are working is your purse. I'm sorry, that was really bad. Someone drove by and the car was blasting music and I was trying to figure out what it was. But as I was saying, the only time when you shouldn't neglect something because of your job is things like your personal hygiene, you're neglecting sleep, you aren't cleaning up the house, like you have a backup of dishes in your sink, you need to get things like that done. If you don't mow the lawn every once in a while and it starts to pile up, okay, eventually you can get to that. That's really not as big of a deal. But if you are neglecting things that will eventually harm you, like if you don't clean that pile of dishes or you don't clean something, eventually it'll get moldy and that mold will make you sick. If you neglect your personal hygiene, you don't brush your teeth, you'll get sick, all those other things. Certain things you just can't neglect. But if you neglect things because you are so busy with work, that's perfectly fine. Just don't neglect certain things that will eventually harm you. You really need to think of yourself because how you are, because a lot of people consider themselves workaholics because they're so passionate about something and they spend so much time doing it. But you really aren't a workaholic until you actually neglect people and put your job first before yourself and before family, relatives, and lovers and things like that. That's when it's really bad. Like, you literally don't want to trap yourself in the house working 24/7 and you're not getting out to get even the slightest bit of fresh air. So if you're a workaholic, literally, it's just get stuff done in a timely fashion. Limit yourself the amount of hours that you are going to be working. If you're still overwhelmed with work, eventually take a break, step back, just breathe, get back to it in a timely fashion, and manage yourself. You don't want to work so much that you neglect people that you love, people that you're living with, your family, um, personal hygiene. Like, every once in a while, you need to clean the dishes. You definitely need to take a shower, regardless. You don't want to wake up still wearing what you wore to work the next day and wear it again. You don't want to do that or have to bring deodorant with you to work, and while you're in the bathroom, just put on the deodorant because you didn't get the chance to take a shower because you were so busy working. There is a reality of working where you actually have to work a lot to actually finish it, but there's also a point where you start thinking things like, if I don't start this now, I'm never going to get it done in time. You start panicking and rushing and all these things, and you end up giving yourself more work than you actually have, and you start stressing yourself out. So if you are actually a workaholic in any of those ways, set it up in a timely fashion. If you go over that time, maybe like an hour, that's at max how much you should do it. But don't forget to take breaks. Actually eat, maintain a personal hygiene, take showers, and get enough sleep. Because if you don't get enough sleep, or you don't maintain that personal hygiene, you don't eat, you are going to end up exhausting your body. And if you exhaust your body, you're going to crash, and you're going to be doing very poor quality work, and it's going to harm your job and also you. So respect yourself, find a balance between work, relationships, and yourself, because you don't want things to be blown out of whack, like just blown out of whack. Because if you lose your relationships with people, and then you start to lose yourself because you're so busy working, and then you lose your job because you've been handing in so much poor quality stuff, or your personal hygiene is so disgusting, they're like, we can't have you in the office anymore until you actually clean yourself up, then you have nothing left, because you can't turn to that family or those special people that you had in your life for support. You can't be like, I just lost my job, oh my god, I don't know what to do, because they're not there anymore because you neglected them. And plus, your body isn't healthy now, and you pretty much practically ruined your body, and plus you lost your job. That's when things get bad. You need to find a balance between these things, and that's pretty much it. You just need to find a balance. And if you call yourself a workaholic and you really aren't a workaholic, like you don't do any of those things where you put your job before other people, stop calling yourself a workaholic. Just say you're really passionate about something you do, you have a goal that you want to achieve, but you aren't a workaholic. You like to work, you like what you're doing, you want to achieve something, you want to produce good quality things, but you don't do it to the point where you put your job first before yourself and relationships and a dozen other things. So please don't call yourself a workaholic like I call myself a workaholic, when you really aren't, because it's actually a negative thing to say about yourself. Being a workaholic isn't a good thing. So stop labeling yourself as a workaholic if you really aren't one. So just random topic, guys. It just popped in my head. So please, hopefully this helps.